And here we go. Time for another sprint zone. This one's for 10:11, and it might be the very last Vine sprint zone of the year. Looks like Prospect is going to be open next week, and we'll see how that goes. Got a big crew today. In fact, it is the largest crew I can ever recall being on the TFR Ride Tuesday. Seems like we might be pulling some riders from the TTH. Maybe they think it's easy pickings here, or we're just a little more sane, or they just want something different. Regardless, it's all good. Lots of people in the house, lots of people missing, and we'll talk about the missing. Carlos Ellis, we got Byron Besseril, and Ben Nelson missing. Haven't seen them for a while. I think they're all out on injuries, so we wish them well. Regardless, big crew here as we head into the almost start of the sprint zone. It is on Vine, but we wait to cross the railroad tracks. Not these railroad tracks, the ones that are up the road a little bit. And I'll talk more about that. We can see Todd Mellinger there, like taking it easy in the back, letting a little bit of a gap go open up, and we've got a wicked, wicked tailwind. And you can see with the wattage I'm putting out doing this kind of speed that there's not much effort here. Closing out on the back, we see some people on arrears. We see Isla, Joel, Todd, and somebody in the back. That might be Dave. Hasn't been here for a while. Looks like Chris, John, Justin, Rob, Andy Lockwood. Haven't seen him here for a while. As we head towards these railroad tracks. Okay, this is the official start. And it's a big tailwind. And it looks like, and maybe I'll just pause here for a second. And it's a long sprint zone, and there's lots of lethargy. We'll note that I included my cadence meter this time. I thought it was interesting with the tailwind to see what we're looking at. But regardless, it looks like I take off a little bit. There's some lethargy back there. Matthew Michaels, the big man, the man who owns a lot of sprint zones, is taking his leave here. I'm thinking that Scott might try to follow him, but no. And since I was up front and it's so early, and basically because I couldn't, you saw I was trying to push like close to 300 watts there and not bringing him back. This is a futile effort. Yet I remain up front regardless. RPMs for me, 95, speed 30, which lets you know what kind of a tailwind we have here. Heart rate's relatively low, as are wattage. And I'm looking back, so once again, we haven't crossed I-25 yet, and this is the section where people seem to think it's dangerous. I'm going to counter with it might be better to string this out a little bit. We've got plenty of shoulder, and you guys can count the cars with me because that was one of the reasons, traffic. So everybody start counting cars by the time we get to the overpass. So I'm going to say we'll start counting now. We'll count, this is one, kind of pass it, but everybody's strung out. I kind of think it's better if it's strung out because we're not all bunched up here. A bunch is not good. And looking forward there, look, the big man, Beast, out front, just drilling it. I should have probably got his numbers. It would have been interesting to see what he was doing up there. But, I'm doing the high 100s, maybe low 200s here. No one has come around me yet, and I'm happy to be here. We'll note that I'm using my wrist heart rate monitor, which is probably low, probably by 30 beats. So if anybody has like input for Forensic Garmin, I don't know if it's just me, my black skin, whatever, it doesn't seem to work all that well. Regardless, we got Scott here finally taking over. Hernan offers me the slot here to get in, but no, that's not good tactics. There's no way I'm going to sit on number two's wheel for two reasons. One, the draft isn't that good, and he's going to pull off, and I'm going to have to do another turn. No, 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 no. 4 or 5 back, maybe. Anyway, that was the reason in case Hernan was running wide and want that wheel. And it's a lesson for the rest of you guys. So I'm looking back, we see Mike Weeda looking strong, and behind him was, I believe, Matthew from the Fort Collins Cycling Club. I did a ride with him on Sunday, the pancake ride. Told him about this ride, and he'd been once or twice, but decided he would check it out again. So he's there back in the blue. We can't see him now. Up front, Don Doherty, fresh from the TTH and that race he did, I believe, in British Columbia, mountain bike stage race. Very impressive. Check out his channel. Helps to put the name in the notes. And here we go. The big man, Eric, making the attack here. We got Steve Mastic just kind of like wheel sucking, not wanting to do much of anything, waiting for other people to do work, as Justin, quick on the wheel. Don Doherty, quick to get on Justin's wheel. Eric Larmar, we got John up there. Hernan falling back a little bit. And now the game is truly afoot. We got Matthew Michael still up the road, beasting it as the hounds give chase. Sliding right past Hernan there, sliding back. We got Tim. I gotta apologize to Tim. I couldn't remember his name for the last couple of videos, but it's Tim, not Jason. So I'll remember. It's Tim. And occasionally you can remind me. So, big strung out line here. My cadence, 109. We are ramming and a thumping here. It's normally not that high, but with this tailwind, it's an extra high cadence. Coming alive here on this little hill, 350 watts as John and Scott take up the chase. Still, Danny Evans, it looks like, in the green, barely holding on. And Steve, who hadn't been here for a while, Masted, still kind of sucking wheel. Not wanting to put his nose out there just yet. Respect is given to Scott. He slides in front of Danny, and we can see the big man, Matthew Michaels, right ahead of us, whereas it looks like Eric and Justin and Mr. Doherty are up the road with Matthew hot in pursuit. Looking behind, we still see the wheel suckers. Ian punching way above his weight this time. I've been very impressed with his riding for the past couple of weeks, pushing up there, looking strong. Definitely holding his own here. Here comes another car. Haven't been counting them all. I'm gonna count. This is like number 2 that caught my attention. If traffic was the reason, and that was the reason for safety, not seeing it just yet. I mean, this section of the road doesn't have much shoulder, but doesn't have much traffic either. John pulling strong. John's been riding pretty strong in the last few weeks. I'm surprised nobody else went around to help him. I'm gonna do it because we are close, and we can't just be letting one man do the work. We should be getting a rotation going here, but maybe it's just too much wattage being put out by me. Well, I can't actually believe that looking at the numbers, because there's plenty of strong men behind me that could be contributing that are not. Joel looking strong. He hasn't been riding a lot. His runs have been super lately, but perhaps his focus on running has made him a little less eager to throw it out there this early. Although we are pretty much halfway over. Scott looking strong back there, and almost a full contingent. And here we go. Joel makes a strong move. I don't know if he expects us to get on his wheel. There's no look back to see what's going on. It might be a little too much. I had to put a little bit of acceleration on to do that, hoping more men would come through. And there goes Mr. Mellinger looking to see if he's bringing people. And there's the look of kindness. Danny Evans, Steve sucking wheel again, right in there. Scott looking strong. And here I push almost 400 watts trying to get on this little train as they came by. I was pretty much on the rivet at this point. And it looks like Hernan can go all day at like 220 watts. But if you ask him to accelerate, that just doesn't happen. I don't know if it's because he puts in maybe 300 miles a week, or that's not his training. Maybe needs to work on some high cadence work. Maybe that'll happen. But anyway, John closes in as I drift back, as I am near the rivet here. The other group I had to let go, hoping that I can latch on here. And there are strong men. Eric Larmar, who hadn't been on the bike for 2 weeks. A little bit cautious too about throwing his strength out there. I'm able to latch on. Tim looking strong. We got, it looks like, oh yes, Matthew from the Fort Collins Club, along with other men of note back there. Andy Lockwood, I can see, and someone way off the back. Perhaps that was Ian, a little too much for him at this point in time. Mr. Heyman looking good off there to the right shoulder of everyone, riding pretty strong. Oh, and I saw Greg's head, Greg Kuchta back there, just hanging on. So Eric makes this big surge. Maybe a little bit selfish because he was not working with the group, and no one is going to be able to go with that. So I make note of who I can work with and who I can't work with, and those who are selfish and don't work with the group that just want to be individualist, note taken here. where you ride up on the shoulders of those willing to extend themselves, where you ride coattails and make opportunistic moves, and we are about to see more of them here. Strong group back here, and Mr. Heyman looking comfortable, sitting on my wheel, pushing 200 watts into the tail end at 24 miles an hour, and we are the laggard group, but we're not too far back. And here's another opportunist, Mr. Lockwood, not caring to bring anybody around, riding coattails and going up the road. If he had worked with the rest of us, he could have brought us up, but that is perhaps not his goal. And that will be a mental note that I maybe don't want to work with such a person and might want to try to get rid of him early. But he clearly has a lot of strength as he goes around Joel. Wave to the TTH guys. There they go. Didn't count the numbers there, but we are clearly more than them. Hopefully that has not hurt their ego. Perhaps the wind made them shy away from today. Bringing Joel back in is Hernan, who can ride all day at a consistent wattage. I am unable to go with him. For some reason, I was a little bit under the weather, or maybe I did a little bit too much work, but I had a flat tire on the way over, like little stands spurting out, so my tire in the rear was a little bit low, but not enough to make an excuse. Tim looking strong, and maybe I can slide back here and get some of the draft and hang on here. Greg for the first time showing his head. John, who was doing some work early on, coming through here as this contest is about to come to an end. There goes Joel, and maybe I can drag myself up there. 350 watts, but it's pretty much like game over. Didn't have much to eat before here, and I tried to wolf down a couple of big bars. Sometimes that worked, sometimes that doesn't. But I am able to hang on at least, perhaps last in this one, but close enough to the people, the big man, the heads of state, that I am happy with my performance today. Well done, everyone. Well done. I had a lot of fun on this one for perhaps the last sprint zone on Vine of the year. Biggest turnout. Good to see everybody out here riding clean. At least for you TFR guys on the Facebook, you see something that looked like it was unsafe or can give rationale for starting perhaps after I-25, let me know. The rest of you who were counting cars, I didn't really see that many, and that was the excuse that was given. So, what can I say there? Missing here were lots of people we haven't seen for a while. JC, I think, is off at a conference. I'm certain that he would have liked to have been here, because I'm certain he would have colored this event a little bit. There are some of the strong men. I think maybe Justin took that one. Not certain because I wasn't there. Lots of strong men as I make the turn early for the recovery section of this ride. Very nice, very nice. There's Greg. Lots of good riders here. And a good time was definitely had by all. Can't wait for the next sprint zone up Prospect when the new pavement is open. Who will be the first winner? Peace.